What you telling me, family tree? Welcome to Movement Decoded. Here we are, another 3 separate movements. Where do they intersect? And how do you want to take it on your journey, your pace, your texture? Move number 1, nice and easy. It's going to be a spinning heel sweep. I call this Meia Lua from capoeira. It stems from the foundation of a capoeira kick. So what we do, we choose a leg to base into. As we base into that leg, all the weight is going to be in that foot for freedom of this side. From there, I reach down to the ground. I can reach anywhere in front of my knee or the inside. So I can do this and kind of like rotate inwards, which is going to provide more torque through the motion. But to get used to it, you can place your hands down here and then just spin heel side. I'm putting a little bit of weight into the ball of my foot for that spin as well. So I pick a side, hands down, spin. And that's just to get the mechanics of the movement. Pick a side, hands down, spin. Notice there I naturally kind of went inside a little bit more on that one because it just feels comfortable and familiar. With that, how can we play with it? How high do you want your hips? Hips can be all the way down. They can be a little bit higher. Where do you want to place the hands? And just experiment with it to see where you can really feel the winding motion. You can play again like the hips staying high if you want to. The foot can come high. You can really crouch down into the ball of the foot and do a low sweep. Like so. Play with it. Foundation or step. Move number 1. Number 2, we're going to go into some rolling territory, backward rolls specifically. And with that, how do we come to the ground? From standing to the floor. We're going to do 2 different ways that we can come down. The anchor will be feet a little bit wider, buoyant into the legs, maneuverability for the body to wind a little bit and play. We can use that momentum to take us down to the ground. In this one, we'll call this the inside spiral. In the inside spiral, I'm reaching, if I'm mirroring you guys, my left hand comes across and it really reaches sort of in line with my right foot, but a bit further in front. And I'm feeling that wind. I'm turning my hand round, exposing the back of the shoulder a little bit more. And this is nice and simple now. The hand that comes down, the same knee, then we roll down the landing pads to the same hip. And we end up in this position here. And then we can travel. The backwards roll begins here, from this hip here towards the opposite shoulder. And I'm rolling across to the opposite shoulder. So the movement here, inside spiral. Reach, same hand, same shin, same hip. This leg, a little bit of tension here because the weight of the leg helps with the roll. As I ground through the foot, I have all the options here. I bring the hands down and I push up. So in a little bit more sort of real time, hip to opposite shoulder. Okay, outside spiral. Nice and easy. We're still going down our ipsilateral transition, same hand, same foot, but instead of coiling in ourselves here, we're reaching out. So as I reach out, that reach is already dictating kind of like where the body's going, so just go with it. Then we land through the same shin and the forearm, then we land through the shoulder and the hip. Back leg compresses in, just like we did before, but this time, we're still doing the diagonal roll from here, my hip, towards my opposite shoulder, my grounded hip. As it compresses in, I roll onto my back, and this creates a flare motion, this windmill motion. So then it provides the momentum to come over the shoulder. Demonstrate from another angle. I reach out. I land down, landing pads, back leg, kicks in first. I come across onto the back so I can go from opposite hip to opposite shoulder to come up through the roll. So a little bit more real time. Make sure not to kick the planks in that one. A little bit more real time, other side, just to see if you can get the feel of it. There, actually the momentum kind of took me where the opposite foot came down. It really doesn't matter what foot come down. If you're doing the backward roll and the feet come down, the knees come down, absolutely fine. If you do have a little bit of momentum into the back roll, maybe you can do it without placing the knee on the floor. But there's no reason why we don't recruit these landing pads, for sure. Same with outside scoop. And that turns that momentum there, just by the trajectory of that kick and lift, takes it into this, almost like a windmill motion. This actually segues into a really nice detail coming out of the roll, just so we don't get stuck in patterns. Kind of just felt that as I was exploring the movement myself. So, let's get a little bit more nuanced here. The leg that's kicking over, we know the leg leading is maybe, if we're new to this, going to be the landing foot. It's coming closer to the ground. So I'm coming from opposite hip to opposite shoulder. From here, we could either be really subservient to the momentum of the roll, and this foot might just come down willy-nilly. It might just be like, just dictated by the momentum of the movement. But what could also be really nice is because we now have an anchor to the ground, it now gives us options. So if I'm not focusing on the end movement here, I'm focusing on my connection to the floor. And this connection creates options. Maybe this foot can come across. Maybe, because I've got freedom here, it can reach back. You can see where I'm going with this. Maybe it can spin back. So as soon as you feel a lot of this movement game, where can we feel the connection from the ground, and that order, where does that create chaos, exploration, variation in how the rest of the body can move? Our connection to the ground means that we know we can go here, we can go here, because the floor is helping doing the work. Now I have freedom to be creative. What do I want to do? Oh, I want to buy this shiny thing. Oh, I want to build this thing. Oh, and I have this. Like, we're built to have creativity in the freedom of expression due to our relationship to the constant forces, the floor. I digress. So, back to that roll. We have options. I land down. Where do I want to take that foot? I do exactly the same movement, just for the variation. I roll. I land down. Maybe it goes inside. I roll. I switch leg. Ooh. Takes into a whole new variation again. Let the intention of how you're committing to the ground then create a response so when you go after that. Hopefully that makes sense. So the two rolls. Outside, spiral, back leg, kick, roll, over. And the inside spiral. Last one, the scoop. This one's fun. This one comes more from now, very much affirmed its place in the tricking world. I think it comes from like capoeira. It could almost be a kick, something a bit like chapeau, which we've covered in other videos. But here the scoot's slightly different. The scoot in the variation that we'll play with today. So this isn't necessarily a tricking scoot, which tends to be sort of a build-up for an acrobatic motion. I'm going to do it there, but just so you can see where the momentum's going. But here I really like to use it as a bit of a change of dynamic. It can either bring you a little bit closer to the ground, or it can be the one aforementioned maybe take you up to another level in the acrobatics. So, how do we do this movement? First of all, this is really kind of important anchor for the shape, this shape here. Hand in line with the front leg that's bent and buoyant, the back leg a little bit more extended to provide power in sort of a swing. So this is the base leg, the front leg, back leg provides a swing. And from here, we're almost kind of thinking, as we put weight into this shoulder, the planted hand, almost thinking to kick this back leg into the front leg. Kind of think of it like that. That's not what we're doing. Though I'm not trying to knock on into the leg, but think that's the action of what the back leg is doing. But because of that, it's going to force the hips forwards, which is what we want. So as it forces the hips forwards, it just replaces the front leg, and the front leg is going to kick back and up to now be a sort of a transfer of that whip. So I'm transferring the weight into the front leg for the back leg to pull back and come round. Here, I switch, land. Really like rudimental there, but just to exaggerate the motion of the hips. So here, I come back, and as I jump through, I switch, and I'm opening this front leg becomes the back leg, open. And notice how it goes, whoa, and it kind of like recoils, like Luffy, like whoa, coming round. To the other side. Tripod base, switch, land. I switch, land. Hopefully that makes sense. So now, to let it be a bit more fluid, just let the naturalness of the movement show up. Now that the mechanics are there. So the naturalness, just feel it out. Feel it out until kind of feels like whoa, 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 like rhythmic and transitional into that movement. Wait, a little bit there. You get the idea. So, some details that I personally like to incorporate with this movement. Again, it might not be relative to a tricking Gumby. This isn't the only Gumby scoot. It might not be, it's not the best scoot or the only one to do, just the variation that I like. Now that we've got the mechanics, 2 details of the hands that might just piece everything together really comfortably. First one, the swing arm, this momentum through this arm. A lot of the power can be generated from this circular motion. And again, we're staying same arm, same hand, same leg, same hand. As the leg steps back to come into the lunge, what we can do here is wind this arm low and backwards. Already we're starting to initiate this momentum and power. This wind up here, wind, and then as I open the chest, I lean, and the body just wants to follow that. And it just takes you really smoothly into the next shape. So the back leg, whoa, as it reaches, opens the chest, which creates the scoop. Detail number 2, the other arm, the trailing arm. This also helps with trajectory and lift. I want to send that trailing arm behind the ear. And as it pulls behind the ear, it's already pulling the rest of the body as well with this tensegrity, this opposing line of tension in the body. So we have the step back and wind, breaks. Then as I keep that momentum going, this arm swings behind the ear. Whoa. Don't really need to kick the ass out of that, play with that. Yeah? So that's the 3 movements there. How can we play with this? The anchor to all of this can be here, just to have a lot of clarity and slowing things down and building into flow and transition. There's so much we can do from this position here. We can. We reverse what we've done today. Scoop. We can inside spiral. And we can stay with the same side. We can outside spiral. We have all those options, and then we can double all of that by committing to the other side. How does the momentum wind us through all that? I'll give a little sincere exploration into it here. And I'll just go through, I'll have a little example. I'll go through my inner workings, like what I was feeling, what I was thinking in the flow. There might be moments where I drop the needle and kind of go, oh, how does that feel? There might be moments where I kind of like just feel things spontaneously come into the next for happy accidents, or maybe a purposeful spontaneity as well, which is kind of like the flow experience. So from here, maybe just reversing what we've done. Don't know if I'm still in camera. Variation there, happy accident, that was lovely. So, thoughts, findings, feelings. One thing, I was very aware of the space and I was trying to make sure I was in shot. But another thing, I went to do one of the spins. I went to do a Meia Lua, and it turned into a hastera. Just coincidentally, I know kind of the name or the similarity of the movement. So even though I projected this movement at one point of that exploration, because the way my body was rotating and moving, it forced me into the same movement, but toe side, which is lovely. It's like a welcomed accident by virtue of research. In the rolls, I was seeing how, when I landed my foot, what direction could I take it? Sometimes it was just merely dictated by the space in the room. I was coming down a little bit close. And when we use the environment, it can also really help us be a little bit more creative, just through an exploration of contingencies and problem solving in the environment. And I felt a few moments where I dropped the needle, and I felt a few moments where I could have dropped the needle, but I just used this as an anchor. I was just like, I came out of a shape, had no idea what was going on, but I was just like, oh, I've got this here, so let me go into something that feels pleasant. Maybe go into something that feels quite habitual for the body. So I come up, there's no rush. You can be malleable here. Then the roll appears. Oh, did a switch up there. But hopefully that makes sense. We'll leave it there. Nice one, family. Happy exploring. Let me know how it goes. If you like the thing, give it a like. If you want to leave a little comment, if you want suggestions, if there's anything you'd like in future videos, drop a line, drop a message, and I'd love to keep this reciprocated conversation and dialogue going between us here. If you really enjoy it and want to offer an extended form of gratitude, then feel free to buy your boy a coffee. Something as simple as a coffee will help keep this free content flowing. So, love guys, peace.